Hey, and welcome back. I'm Chanté, and I'm a coach, I'm a physician, but most of all, I'm here with you on this journey to healing. And I want to talk today, getting straight into it, the truth about triggers. Mhm. If you have been on this journey of healing, of getting better, of trying to improve, you have probably realized that some things have been a little bit triggering. And why is that? Why do things just bubble up and come out at the wrong times or make you feel inadequate or make you feel uncomfortable as you're navigating, even when you're in a new season, even when things are completely different, even when you're out of those things that seem to have caused you to distress in the first place? And to get into that, I'm going to have to give you a little mini biology lesson. So, if we think about the fight or flight response, really what's happening is whenever you perceive a threat, a part of your brain called the hypothalamus is going to activate the sympathetic nervous system. And as a result of the hormones that are released, you will start using the adrenal cortical system, which many of you realize will allow your body to survive. And while we think about it from a primal standpoint, where we're surviving just to have life because there is a perceived threat, thinking of this animal that's going to attack us, so our body has to figure out a way to defend us. But for so many of us, we're not running away from animals. We are often protecting ourselves from life, the life stressors, the things that we perceive as a threat. And many of you have spent so many years surviving that thing, surviving life, surviving stress, surviving situations, surviving. But now you're healing. Now you have a different mindset. Now you're out of that relationship. Now you're out of that stressful job. But yet you can find yourself still feeling like you're fighting. And I want to go into that, right? So, usually there are 4 different responses when you are triggered. And the trigger is often you perceiving something as a threat, even now when you're in a safe situation. So, that is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And I want to dig a little more into each of those. So, the first one is fight. That's the most obvious. And many times in our life, we have been fighting. We've been trying to defend ourselves, maybe against things people have said about you. You have been thinking that you had to be the one to figure it out. You had to push past the barriers. You had to fight. You had to keep going. So now, as you're healing and you're in a better mindset, and there is something new that reminds you, or even seems like the slightest glimpse that it is a threat, you automatically want to go into defense. And maybe someone just made a comment that wasn't even their intention to be offensive. It's because you've been sitting in that survival mode for so long that even your body is having a hard time recognizing when these new things are actually a threat or safety. The other reaction that often happens, and I could say I've experienced it on occasion, is flight. It is so much easier to run away to something that feels threatening. Whenever something new and good is coming in your life, it can feel easier to run away. When there's any troubles that start to manifest, even good stressors, you may feel like you want to run away. And it goes back to your body still reacting as if there was a perceived threat. One response is to freeze. That means it's easier sometimes. Your mind tricks itself in thinking it's better to not do anything at all. You want to start the business, but you're fearful. And you've maybe had failures before, so it's a perceived threat. Let's just not do it. You have this good stressor or this good thing that you are hoping to accomplish. You have the creativity, but it's easier to just not do it because you recall when you were overthinking and you start realizing there may be so many new things and new barriers and new challenges and new things that you have to figure out, and it's all in your mind. So it's easier to freeze. And the last reaction that often happens is to fawn. This one is not talked about as often, but that is when you typically will just be passive in a sense. You're willing to go along with what everybody else wants to do. You're willing to kind of adjust things versus really standing up for what you want because you're trying to keep the peace. You're trying to stay level headed. You're trying not to get stressed. And that also doesn't do us justice. That also doesn't actually help you to get where you're trying to go. It's just a way of your mind, your memory, your body being able to be at peace because you want to get back to feeling safe. I had to give that little biology lesson to set up the framework because what I really want to share with you is that that was your past. Those stressors, those frustrations, those anxious feelings, that nervous system that was in chaos, maybe that was a world that you once lived in. But as you're moving, as you're growing, as you're transitioning, and really focusing on healing, creating environments of peace, creating new environments of safety, you no longer have to feel that way. But it's normal to have those triggers. It's important to be able to recognize them because they can overwhelm you and sometimes make you perceive things that are not actually a threat. Even when it comes to people who are really trying to help you, because of your past experience, it's harder to trust. It's hard to believe that someone actually has your best interest. And it's not saying for you to be naive, it's not saying for you to just trust anyone willy nilly, but it is for you to start pausing and analyzing this current situation, not allowing your past to dictate what your future will be. And I want to remind you that you may still be fighting a one battle. You have already won. You already have the victory. And it is so different when you are navigating from a space of victory and not working towards getting victory. When you're working towards getting victory, you're doing so many different things to try to win. You're hoping that this next thing works, that this new idea helps, that God just answers that prayer, that finally you will get there. But when you're operating from knowing that you are already victorious, you will make different decisions. And if you like this video, please share, subscribe, tell your friends. We're just on this journey of getting better. Everyone deserves to heal and be their most whole self. So until next time, see you later.